Hello everyone, Jake here. Today I'll be reviewing Slicer Hired Muscle Casual Deck. Slicer is a 3/4 legendary artifact creature for 4 colorless and a red. He has double strike haste and says at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have that player gain control of Slicer until the end of turn. If you do, untap Slicer, goad it, and it can't be sacrificed. If you don't, convert it. This is a really fun commander because you literally force your opponents to kill each other with your own commander. Some important things to remember when playing Slicer is that his more than meets the eye ability does get around commander attack, so you can avoid his 5 mana casting cost. It's also crucial that after 2 opponents are eliminated, the goad mechanic no longer works. They can now attack you with Slicer and all the filthy things that you've attached to him all game. You need to make sure you have a plan in place when it becomes a 1v1, but don't worry, that's what I'm here for. The strategy, there isn't one. Just get Slicer out as fast as possible and let him beat down on your opponents while you prepare for a 1v1. As always, we have Ramp. Ruby Medallion will make all your red spells cheaper, including Slicer himself. Sword of the Animus will not only buff your commander, but ramp you when he attacks. And not only when he attacks on your turn, when he attacks on every single other opponent's turn, because you control the equipment attached to him. And of course, we have attachments that make treasure. Curse of Opulence, Shiny Impetus. Curse of Opulence will give you a treasure token every time you attack an opponent, a specific opponent. Shiny Impetus will buff your commander, goad it, and whenever he attacks, will make you a treasure token. That also includes on every opponent's turn. Alright, removal, it's mono red, so bear with me. We have Chaos Warp, Wild Magic Surge, and a Braid. Chaos Warp will be able to hit anything and could hit a Maze of Ith if that's really keeping Slicer down. Wild Magic Surge can also hit a Maze of Ith, but your opponent will get any land that they hit off the top of their library. A Braid could either deal with a pesky block or destroy a target artifact. And of course, mono red MVPs, we have Chain Reaction, Blasphemous Act, and Shatter Skull Smashing. Now we're getting to the meat and cheese of the video, it's equipment. Blackblade Reforge will make your commander massive, and don't forget he has double strike. Commander's Plate will make him virtually unblockable and buff him at the same time. Hammer of Nazan will make him indestructible, buff him, and whenever you play an equipment, it'll automatically attach to Slicer. How broken is that? Komainu Battle Armor will give him Menace, which is really important early game when people barely have any creatures down. Grafted Exoskeleton is absolutely gross. Mithril Cult for 3 mana will make Slicer indestructible, which, trust me, will help you in the long run. Tenza Godo's Maul for 4 mana is going to give him plus 3/3 and trample. The Reaver Cleaver will also give Slicer trample and make you treasure tokens for how much damage he hits for. This will also trigger when your opponents swing him at another opponent. Two-handed axe is going to double his power when he attacks. With double strike, basically quadruple strike. Card advantage. Let me remind you, we're in mono red. Valakut Awakening, Thrill of Possibility, and Faithless Looting. These are some of the best looting spells out there. Valakut just lets you recycle your whole hand. Thrill of Possibility is great salvage, while Faithless Looting is, well, good looting. Then for Impulse Draw, we have Jessica's Will, Reckless Impulse, and Light Up the Stage. These are really powerful early in the game because Jessica's Will can get your commander out really fast. Reckless Impulse will get you a land that you might need, or maybe an equipment that you're lacking. Light Up the Stage is also great because you can cast it for 1 mana. Mask of Memory is also the perfect equipment to have to Slicer because it's going to trigger a lot. So now we're at the game enders. This will really help you get over that line, and that's Aki Battle Squad, Karlach, Fury of Avernus, and Morag, Fury of Akum. These are 3 great creatures that are going to give you extra combat and just let you beat down on your opponent with Slicer. Then again, if Slicer isn't an option, you have Krenko Tin Street Kingpin, Varchild Betrayer of Keldor, or Valda Keeper of the Flame, which are great when you attach all the equipment you had on Slicer to any one of them. Also, we have Jessica Thrice Reborn, which will really accelerate the game if you already have Slicer out, because it's going to make him deal 3 times the amount of damage he would already do. Some maybe cards you have is Smoke, which means only 1 creature untaps every untap step. Kami of Celebration, which will help you impulse draw whenever Slicer attacks, and buff him whenever you play something from exile. Kedis will really just help get your opponent's life totals nice and low to swing in for the kill. Neheb the Eternal will net you a lot of mana after combat. Silent Arbiter will only make sure Slicer gets blocked by 1 creature, and Tomb of Legends can be a great choice for that card advantage. Ember Cleave is good here because it gives trample, but the only thing that really high mana value, that's why I kept it in the maybes. Now I try to stay away from enchantments, but Dragon Mantle just seems really good by the fact that you can just pay 1 red and buff Slicer 1 power at a time. With his double strike, it's basically 2 power. And of course, the card that can absolutely destroy your deck but also save you, it's Maze of Ith. There's not a lot of creatures in this deck, and when you're just swinging with Slicer, Maze of Ith is a nice deterrent so people don't swing at you. Now, one combo I was fortunate enough to pull off was a turn 1 Soul Ring into a Liquid Metal Torque. Turn 2, I get Slicer out. Swing. Turn 3, I grafted Exoskeleton for 6 mana, which gives him 5 power, infect, and with double strike, that is a 1-shot on each opponent, and you can just recycle it to each opponent, let them swing at each other for all the infect, and by the time you get to your turn, you can knock off the last opponent. This has been my review for a casual Slicer Hired Muscle deck. If you enjoyed or have any suggestions, please let me know down below. Other than that, thanks for watching. I hope you have a good day, and don't forget, Slicer no slicing!